Hello, everyone. We're here for episode 63 of the Ascendant Art Podcast. I'm joined by the King of Marestown, Slender Dad, who is still keeping that that I guess subheading
Yeah, I don't
after
even know who did it. Somebody changed my subhead when we were on the jump talking about Mayor of Kingstown. They changed it to King of Mayorstown, and I was like, I like it. I'm keeping it. It was probably Grant.
probably I would imagine it's Grant because he works there in the background on the Wednesday Mad Dump that we over on Sporking News channel that we are a part of. It's good. Hello, everyone. Hey. Hello to you. So, tonight we're going to have a little bit of fun because we both got copies of Cyberfrog 2 Rekt Planet that came in the mail through fulfillment um, couple couple years in. It's funny that Mads is here the one time I didn't take the time to call out the intro because I didn't do it because last week you were like, how many weeks are we going to point out that Mads did this intro for us? And I said, oh, we're going to keep going. So I didn't this time. And
that is really funny because
right over there.
It was last week that I told him, I was like, dude, stop saying how great the intro is. We had it for like a month now.
I know, isn't that like so mad? That was not me. I was calling it out every time and giving proper credit. And this effort over here was making me feel like that was the not a professional YouTuber thing to do. And,
yeah, but here's the thing.
Stopped.
Like, stop saying how great the intro is, and then we can get him to make us an outro that we can talk about how great that is. Like, string him along because he wants that approval.
That's true. Are you saying I should neg him into into making more content? You're basically using like pickup artist moves. That's not very nice. But yeah, so in addition to our Cyberfrog 2 Rekt Planet review, we've got some confirmation that Slender Dad's predictions do come true at a fairly alarming rate.
I'm not going to say I'm a pretty smart guy, but I'm a pretty smart guy. I also think Mad wants to be part of this.
Then let me go ahead and get that link over to him because I didn't send it over this time because I wasn't sure that anybody would want to be a part of basically reviewing Cyberfrog because that's not always, comic books. It's our thing, mainly more my thing than your thing. But so we'll send it over because now it's going to be something where we can derail the entire show and that'll work. So,
I mean, I know we're going to do a whole review, but just to give a little preview, credit where it's due, I thought this was better than the last one.
I agree too. I think just honestly, like the art was as good. I mean, the art is fantastic. You can tell
the art was never in question.
Yeah, the art was always. I mean, he's an artist. He didn't start as a comic book writer, so he's 100% capable on that front. And I think this time he was benefited from the fact that it looks like he was actually trying to start telling the story he wanted to. Whereas the first one was covering a lot of bases, in terms of reorienting everyone to who Cyberfrog was. I'll wait until you guys have talked about this Cyberpunk Frogtown thing. Oh, so you know what? This would be perfect if we had that clip from. What was the name of that terrible movie we watched, Slender?
Which one? We've watched a lot of terrible movies.
The Frogtown one.
Oh, Hell Comes to Frogtown?
Hell Comes to Frogtown. What was it he said? Like, shut your hole.
Shut your hole!
That is available over on the Mad Barber Entertainment channel, I believe. We have that one over there on the Movies with Matt. But if anyone wants to enjoy after they watch or listen to our podcast, they can go enjoy that over there. So let's get into Cyberfrog. So we're going to put a little bit of art on the screen. So this is the actual cover that I got, which was the Ides of March Indiegogo, like 24-hour or limited window cover. It was so long ago. I'm going to be honest. So the one downside on Cyberfrog was that I ordered this in, I believe it was 2020, and it is now 23. So it did take a while to get the actual book. Now, it is crowdfunding, so that's part of the, just when you do crowdfunding, that's a thing. You may or may not get your book on time. You may or may not get your book ever. I can say at this point, so far, Ethan Van Sciver has delivered all but one of the books that I've backed right now, because I also backed Rainbow the Brute, and that is one that is supposed to be coming out this year as well. So this was a campaign from May of 2020. So we're just under 3 years for it. So whether or not it's worth a 3-year wait for everyone, I mean, it's a pretty good book. The artwork is good. I do think the chromium, which is the like metallic embossed kind of cover, is a nice touch. From a comic on inside, I can tell you there's sketch cover on the inside of the chromium cover, which may be fun for people who want to take this and have artwork put into it if they could ever do that. It's not it's not something that's standard for most comic books, and I don't know that it's something most people would even care about. It's a nice touch, but so I think we were fairly hard on the story and the writing on the first Cyberfrog book. That's completely accurate to say that both of us felt that it was pretty lacking in the writing department. So how do you feel about that in this new one?
I think the writing has definitely improved quite a bit. The story, it feels more cohesive. The pacing is a lot better. The only thing I'd probably ding it on a little is some of the dialogue is a little cringe, but I get that there's kind of they're going for like a 90s thing, like a 90s feel to it. That said, even as far as the dialogue goes, most of it has vastly improved. The internal monologues are probably the weakest part. When Cyberfrog is thinking things to himself, they're cheesy in that I think they were trying to be a little too meaningful in a lot of places, and it just came off kind of cringe. But I mean, overall, vast improvement. I've only read the first half, but I'm engaged. I'm interested to see what's going on. I like the introduction of that villain. The big, I guess he's a scorpion man thing. I don't remember his name.
Yeah, that was. Let me look that up, because I did not read Cyberfrog in the 90s myself. I was a little too young and didn't do that. Scorpion, it looks like, is the name.
Yeah, he was cool.
Pinra. It's got
I'm
fun.
looking for it right now because I know you can't read things. I mean, you still pronounce old boy's name wrong.
If this is gonna be shit about Constantine, when that's how it's pronounced, you illiterate fuck.
No, I'm a literate fuck. Whoever tried to say that his name was Constantine, even if it was the person who wrote it, is an illiterate fuck.
Okay, Mr. Constantine. It's Constantine. I know what you're doing. You're trying to pump the short that we have, but that's fine. Not gonna argue with that. But yes, so it was Scorpion, who's I think apparently clearly, and this is another. I do think the main thing that benefited this story was that it's actually moving forward instead of just being groundwork that he had to lay.
Yeah.
It actually, there's actual forward momentum to the story. Things are happening and pushing actions forward. There's interesting characters. Like you said, I do think it's intentional that Cyberfrog's dialogue is set kind of 90s since he was supposedly in a healing hibernation for 22 years since the late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
There is, there's a lot going on. I didn't hate the little girl, which is usually kid characters can be hit or miss. I don't know what you thought of
Oh, she didn't bother me.
yeah. I do think Heather Swain, the main female lead, who's probably supposed to be at, I would imagine, early 40s, if she's been waiting 22 years for Cyberfrog to come out of hibernation, is definitely drawn to look late 20s, and there's nothing wrong with that. So you've got
I mean, the years have been kind.
especially a post-apocalyptic years. So she's and that's something I don't mind. I don't mind having an attractive female lead. There is some a little bit of weird stuff going on with like a goth girl witchy character that's going on. I mean, a lot of distinct characters who have pretty different motivations, it seems like. So I really thought this was a, I mean, I don't know what a perfect comic. I mean, there's not like a grade A, like perfect comic book kind of thing, but this was a good comic book. Like, it's from a comic book writing standpoint, it's perfectly serviceable. It's not a badly written comic book. And then when you add in that the art is top notch, like the art on the other hand is A level peak art with with a well written average comic book writing kind of thing, a slightly above average, maybe even some spots. I think it's a really good comic book. It's 30. It was $35. I think a pop. Let me check exactly what it was. See which is not very different because I think that's also what was it Eric July was selling his comic book for, was like $35 each.
I don't know. I haven't bought one in a while.
Yeah, so these crowdfunded comic books are more expensive than regular comic books. A regular comic book is going to go nowadays for a floppy around $5 to $6, from one of the mainline vendors, DC, Marvel, Image. And then if you get something nice like this special cover that he did, which is a really nice chromium one, those ones might be around like $10 for a standard length book. Now this comic is it's got a lot more pages than the average comic. So I don't know what the problem. It's probably at least two and a half comics worth of material. So if it had been split up, it's definitely probably around $20 worth of regular comic books. But it is more. So I mean, that's something people have to kind of, it was retailing for 25, so it's slightly more, not a lot more. So it's not terrible. That was what it was being sold for, 25, and then you had to pay shipping on top of that. So for shipping and handling, probably about $8. I don't even remember what the shipping and handling was. Is that worth it to you? Well, you're supporting the team. That's what a lot of crowdfunding is. You're supporting people that you want to help build the infrastructure for new fields of art and pop culture. So that might make it worthwhile for you. I think it's a good book, and I definitely don't have any regrets about spending the $25 on it, because I think it's like I said, the art at least is fantastic, and that's what comic books really need, is good art. I don't know. I mean, what do you think of the artwork?
Oh, I thought the artwork was pretty on point. some of the gorier stuff I could do without. It's not my thing, but it's not quite as bad also when it's, drawn. So didn't bother me too much. No, there were a lot of things I actually really liked. Like I liked the interactions with the character Colin, the guy who was in charge of the little commune.
Who definitely needed to wear his glasses.
He definitely needed to wear his glasses. He also kind of struck me as he may have taken some inspiration for the Colin character from the mayor in Walking Dead.
That is now that you mention it, I can see that.
He had that kind of personality about him.
Yeah, there's not a lot of backstory about what he was doing before the Armageddon event of the they call them the Murder Hornets, which I think is clearly, that was a current year worry that we had that was made, and it actually works perfectly well for the villains, the evil space hornets that they have. So you don't really get anybody else's backstory about what they did before, but I don't mind that because in most real world situations, somebody you encounter, doesn't say, "Hey, here's my life story that led me from through all of this to get from point A to point B."
Well, that's kind of the thing too, right? Like you don't need backstory. Like you don't need every character's backstory. Um, weirdly enough, I think it was a post on Sir Sova's Twitter the other day talking about how Record of Lodoss War was kind of overrated as an anime, and I was like, okay, well, I got to disagree with that. And one of the things I liked about Record of Lodoss War was you don't really get any character's backstory. Like, it's not necessary. You can figure out who the character is based on what they do in this story. And I feel like, especially in a lot of comics and anime of late, just in media in general of late, like they feel like every character needs to get that moment where you get their whole backstory and their life history and everything else. It's like I don't give a shit. Like I should be able to figure that out just based on the character, how they act, what they believe in. Like, tell us who they are through the story. Don't tell us another story for them.
Exactly. I think you let someone's actions speak for what, who they are within the story, and then if it warrants it, if you have an ongoing series where you have lots of space to kind of work through that kind of thing, yeah. If you're writing, Attack on Titan, and that manga / light novel, whatever is going on for all those volumes, you've got room to get into somebody's backstory. Or My Hero Academia is a good one that comes to mind. You didn't get everybody's backstory immediately. You're caught up on it, right? Through the anime.
Yeah.
So you know that who Dobby's real identity is.
Oh, really? That must be one of the really, really new episodes. I know what a lot of people theorize his real identity is. I know my theory on what his real identity is. Did they actually give up his real identity finally?
No, they did it in the My Villain Academia arc. They did it when he was fighting.
Oh.
That's why Endeavor had to do the press conference and got in so much PR trouble.
Okay, so he was exactly who I thought he was.
Yeah, he was one of the kids.
Yeah.
One of Endeavor's kids. Yeah. So, and you don't find that out till way later. You lay the seeds if you want to get into that backstory, and then when it warrants it, if you've got enough room to tell the story, you do it. In something like Cyberfrog, where this is a book that's coming out on it, like, look, this got crowdfunded in 2020 and it's coming out in 2023, and it's one extra big, volume of comic. You probably don't have a lot of room to get into every character living in the settlement's background, and that's the right call as a writer. That's actually self-editing the right way, making sure that I might like the Colin character and think he's a good comic relief or has a good backstory that really informs him being the leader of the survivor community. but you don't need to get into it all at once.
No, you got that little speech from him on how he did the thing with all the buses, and like then you had that, you know, poorly veiled threat where he slaughtered a pig.
Which was then immediately turned into a good piece of humor because it actually worked well when you had the farmer coming up and be like, "You killed the wrong one." You
Well,
like
he
put your
wasn't wearing his
glasses on.
glasses.
Exactly. So and that worked within the story pretty good. I think the humor beats in this one worked much better than the first book. And I don't know whether it's again because he was actually pushing organic forward telling story instead of retrospective story. I think it's easier to have like good kind of offbeat humor kind of things that work within that. You go, it's a good turn to where the guy's trying to make a veiled threat about what will happen to Cyberfrog, and then it immediately shows off another weakness he had that's been hinted at a couple times earlier within the comic.
Mm-hmm.
So, so all in all, I think a really solid book. I think this time I'm pretty happy with how it turned out with not just the art, but the story is perfectly serviceable, and it does make me actually want to see what happens next. Where the comic
Yeah,
book
since
leaves
it
off.
left on like the huge cliffhanger, it's like, oh great, now we're gonna wait another 3 years to find out what
Yeah,
happened.
that's the point of improvement that I'd like. I can even give him like a 1 year window where he's doing one major book.
Yeah, if we
So
could turn
like
this around by next year, that'd be nice.
yeah, so what I would like to see from Ethan if he's comfortable with it. I mean, it's his business. He works, he's making his money and doing fine, so he doesn't need to listen to me. I think like a Cyberfrog book 1 year, like when it launches, like if he crowdfunds it at the beginning of the year, try to deliver it by Christmas, which is I think a fairly reasonable turnaround window.
Yeah.
And then he can take a year off. Like Rainbow Brood is going to be this year allegedly also. Now that's still crowdfunding from the campaign from a couple of years back as well. If that is a successful franchise, I do look forward to seeing that. The concept makes me laugh for that one. If that turns around into is good, he could I would say just take alternate years. Like, 1 year is Cyberfrog's book, 1 year is Rainbow the Brutes, and maybe you have like little, fill in stuff if you feel like it, if you get bigger. Again, his business, not mine. He's doing very well. He doesn't need to listen to me. And it seems like this book is good enough that now I feel a little more comfortable coming back to possibly crowdfund the next one.
I mean, he doesn't need to listen to you, but you are technically the paying customer, so
Yeah,
at
that's
least take
true. I
that on
mean,
board.
I do. I mean, I don't want to. I do feel like the big negative chorus aimed at Ethan Van Sciver is generally the length of time it takes to deliver the content. Now, on the other hand, you have people who will bring up Tim Lim and Iconic Comics with Common America. I do think if you're honestly looking at the artwork, you can see there is a quality difference. Now, whether it's multiple years of waiting quality difference or not, that's up to the customer. You know what I mean? It's
Oh, it depends
if
on what you're
people,
looking for.
yeah.
Um,
But I mean, I think it's objectively this is a higher level of comic book art than what you're getting in Common America.
um, yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. I mean, Common America is more anime style, so one of the nice things about anime style is it's designed to be mass produced. Like that's kind of the whole goal when you're doing
Yeah,
anime.
that's so you can get a mangaka. What is that? What they call them, right? Mangaka artists over there, and they can have them pump out volumes of artwork.
Yeah, they can put them in the manga drawing sweatshop and just have them go to town.
Exactly. I mean, and just the the turnaround time on this, if we improve it just a little bit, I think would be basically addressing the only real criticism left because when we did the first book, Oh, my inner weeb says no. There you go. No, the weeb says no there, Slender. But the two criticisms we had that I think were harshest on when we did the first Cyberfrog review was the length of time that it took to deliver the comic and the writing.
Yes.
We can see the writing's vastly improved. I do think, because remember when Ethan hopped on our stream for a little bit when we did that review, and he was pretty open that I think he was open with the fact that the writing wasn't as good as it could have been, because we brought up maybe bringing on, maybe he does the art and comes up with the story, and then someone else does basically the major lifting of the writing as an option. Now this is his baby and he didn't want to give that up to somebody else. That's perfectly reasonable. Like, I mean, when you're a creator, if you're being successful with it, you don't need to bring someone else on if you don't want to. I do appreciate that it seems like he took to heart, because it wasn't just us. I think the main criticism across the board that was consistent was that the writing was weak in the first Cyberfrog. And it looks like he made a concerted effort to work on that this time, which is good. That's what you want from a creator who's trying to satisfy his fan base, right? Most of the fan base who was being objective about it was telling him that it was a good looking book. The writing was lacking. And so he comes back with the second book and it becomes a good looking book that actually has pretty solid comic book writing.
Yeah, like I said, the only couple of things that I complain about were they're kind of standard for comic books. So it's not a big complaint.
Yeah. If you don't like inner monologue of heroes, don't read any Spider-Man comic books.
Well, don't read any comic books, don't
Yeah.
watch any anime, don't do any of that. Like, come on. The inner monologue is the most heavily leaned upon trope in all of these. And I don't think like I said, I don't think the inner monologue was terrible. It just felt like he was trying to force more gravitas onto some of those inner monologues than was accomplished. But beyond that, like, yes, I think the writing was vastly improved. Even the dialogue felt a little tighter. Wasn't quite as wasteful or silly in certain parts. It all kind of just fit together better. Still room for improvement, but I mean, if there is no room for improvement, then you're not doing it, because nobody's perfect. But yeah, I mean, I was pretty impressed with the amount of improvement from the first one to this one. And I don't say that lightly. You know, I am a critical son of a bitch.
I remember you were you did not pull punches on review number 1. You would I was the one who was like, look, this is bad comic book writing, but it's not like the most atrocious I've seen. You know, like, because I've been reading comic books for 35 years now, so I've got a vast repertoire of what is really, really terrible comic book writing. But on the other hand, you're fair. You were harsh but fair about what the criticisms were. Nothing that you were criticizing was, you weren't wrong that the writing was weak. I think I have a different perspective because I've read really terrible comic books, and so I knew, like, when you get like a Mags Visaggio comic book, that some of those are just, that is atrocious writing. So
Yeah.
this was inferior comic book writing, but not the worst. But it's good that it's actually gotten to average to slightly above average comic book writing, depending on the part of the book. That's what it's going to take for Cyberfrog not to lose steam. Because when you've got these crowdfunded books and everybody's trying to support the team, that's great. The two things that are going to derail you from being able to continue that is not delivering your product. He delivers it. It's delayed, but he delivered it. And then delivering an inferior product that people just turn around and say, look, I supported the team with this purchase and it was fine, but it's not good enough for me to do it again. Yeah, so like there's people who, want to support the team, but they also want to feel like they got something that was worthwhile. This is a book that delivers that, and you can be happy with it.
Well, and on the fact that it was delivered late, he threw some bonuses in for that, didn't he?
Yeah, so when I did the crowdfunding, all I ordered was the comic, and I ended up with like a PVC vinyl Cyberfrog like desk toy, stickers, keychains, things like that. Like stuff, these are all stretch goals and it's great. It's not required. He enhanced the package without me having to pay anything extra. So for my $25 purchase price, I've now feel even more comfortable with what I got because I got enough like the merch when it was sold as individual items. I probably got $50 worth of sale, items at their price points on, the Indiegogo campaign for my original just comic book purchase. That is something that I appreciate when you're someone who wants to build your fan base up and make them feel appreciated. It's like, hey, I know you're waiting for this, but the overall package you're going to get is actually going to make you feel better about the purchase.
Yeah.
So, and that's where I was because I messaged you when I got it. I was like, that's some good stuff. That's actually pretty good. I think he had mentioned it in his campaign updates that these things would be coming, but honestly, it had been so long I wasn't even paying attention to those. So that is, I don't want to say that I just kind of set it and forget it, but I spent $25 on the book in 2020 when I had a whole different career and was in a different financial state. So I had kind of just moved on and wasn't like really looking at what I was supposed to be getting for it.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think we're in agreement. All in all, big improvement, and I'd recommend it.
Yep, I think I'd recommend it too. So I know that Ethan Van Sciver usually runs a eBay store where people can buy his comic books. I think he's finishing fulfillment for all the people who crowdfunded it, and there were some exclusive covers like I got, which is what's on the screen, which is the Ides of March. I just like the name, because I'm a big, ancient Rome fan, right? Ides of March cover, which was an exclusive, but I think the standard cover, which was done by Jai Lee, who's another fairly well-known comic book artist, is gonna end up at his eBay store and become available for purchase. So anybody who does want to still get Cyberfrog is probably going to be able to get, Cyberfrog 2 Rekt Planet fairly soon. I think the fulfillment will probably take another few weeks. But once that's done, check out his eBay store to see if you want to get it, and you should be able to purchase it and have it shipped right to you. Not have to wait, 3 years from crowdfunding it because you'll be purchasing a product that's already done. So yeah, if you're comfortable, I don't think you're going to get some of these extras like we did for crowdfunding, but if you're comfortable with spending the $25, if that's not a big thing for your income level, I think it's a perfectly good comic to get and you'll be happy with it.
All right.
All right.
So now let's talk about how I was right.
I know you've been waiting for this one. This is
I didn't even know. You were the one who found the article and was like, "Hey Joey, you were right."
That's right, Slender.
I don't really care if people know my real name. They'll figure it out.
It's all right. You have an online persona. You don't want to be like Mads and start dropping accidentally, doxing himself by putting documents on screen. That was funny.
Like when I pushed the wrong button when I was on the Mad Dump that one time, it showed my face for all of a second.
You got to watch that camera. That's why I got one of those little slidey covers on my camera.
Yeah.
So I have a backup. If I accidentally turn it on, it's just going to be fuzzed out screen for a little bit, and then I can be like, "Oh crap," and then turn it off, and no one will have seen the real me. Isn't that nice? But you're right.
At the end of the day, I don't care. Eventually, if people really want to, they'll piece it together and figure out who I am and where I live. And I own a lot of guns, and so do my neighbors. So good luck if you come looking for me.
I believe firmly that there is no way to fight internet autists. If they latch on and decide, they will piece together through the most random bits that you have ever dropped online and find you.
I mean, did you see what they did with the "He Will Not Divide Us" thing?
With Shia LaBeouf, right? Yeah.
Yes.
They for people who don't remember, during Orange Man's presidency, Shia LaBeouf decided to engage in some performative protest where he was live streaming a flag that said "He will not divide us," and he was doing it from a secret location in America, and the internet autists on 4chan, I believe it was, like we're watching the live stream, and they in the background audio we're hearing like planes going by, and they used the time of day, the audio of the plane going by to start triangulating the position of where this would be. And then once they had the general idea, they started looking for like shadows and like landmarks and all these little
You,
things in the
you're
background.
missing some pieces to the puzzle.
Well, yeah, I mean, I
First
feel like
off, that
it's
was the second He Will Not Divide Us
didn't they find it in
performance.
24 hours?
They found it in less than 24 hours. In the first one, he set up a camera at like some museum or something, and he would show up there every day, and all these people would come and say, "He will not divide us." But then that one got shut down pretty quick. But as far as the flag goes, they found it in less than 24 hours. There were several things that they did. One, they saw chemtrails in the sky from airplanes, right? And so they
Yep.
pulled up the National Flight Registry and saw all the different scheduled flights and used that to help triangulate. They also heard frogs in the background and knew that those particular frogs were only native to certain areas. They knocked out half the country instantly by figuring out what time zone it was in. Like, it was ridiculous. And then finally, when they had narrowed it down to where they thought it was, they had one of their people drive around in a truck nearby and honk the horn until they could hear the horn on the feed. Not joking. In less than 24 hours, that flag was taken down, and a MAGA hat, and Trump T-shirt were raised up in its place.
He united everyone with an enormous capture the flag game. LaBeouf became a Catholic not too long ago. That's right. He allegedly is trying to get his life together. And he also was one of the people who helped bring down Olivia Wilde and her lying ways, which was hilarious. Did you hear about that whole thing?
Well, I mean, if LaBeouf gets himself some treatment for the TDS, he'll probably be fine. He seems like a good guy, just a little bombastic.
You saw Fury, right?
Yeah, I like Fury.
No, he was great in
Fury.
that. Yeah, he was great in that, and that's one of the more underrated World War II movies. A lot of people.
I mean, I liked him in the first Transformers.
Yeah, I mean,
it was just the fact that they made like 15 more that really kind of fucked up the Transformers thing.
Yeah, he wasn't the one who fucked up. It was Bay. Bay screwed that up.
Yeah, it was. Honestly, it's the opposite end of the spectrum. You know, you got Cyberfrog. You got to wait 3 years for the next issue. You don't even want another installment of Transformers, but you just got to wait 2 months, and there'll probably be 4 more dropping.
Well, there is one dropping in like 3 months, and that's Transformers: Rise of the Beasts.
Yeah, I know. It looks like shit.
I mean, you don't understand why a robot would need to change into a mechanical great ape. I don't know.
Yeah, it makes no fucking sense.
But what will be dropping earlier that Slender was right about, since we can go back to that. Dun dun dun, drum roll. Dungeons and Dragons movie intentionally emasculates its leading men. This was.
Oh my god! Who'd have thought? Oh yeah, me. I thought. I said I thought.
You said it exactly. Trailer. Yes, Olivia Wilde was a hoe. Still probably is one. So yeah, that was what I was getting at, and he helped derail. Shia LaBeouf helped expose that when she was trying to use firing him from the set as a way to claim she was a strong, empowered female director, and then Shia came out and showed the video message she left where she was begging him to stay on the set and was saying she would correct the female lead so that he would be able to come back. So very opposite of what she was trying to portray in real life. So yeah, good for Shia for exposing that. And speaking of exposing the agenda, The Dungeons and Dragons movie's writing team revealed they intentionally emasculated the leading men in the film and put the women on the front lines.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
feel
we
like that
saw
was
that in the
exactly
trailer.
what you said, right?
I did. I said the men are all bumbling idiots who are apparently accomplishing nothing while the women do all the work. It's like this isn't even like I'm surprised they're willing to reveal it. One, this has never gone over well with audiences. Never. Never. And two, like you're not clever or original, you dumb fucks. That's what everybody does now.
there's a there's a quite a good comment. Emasculation makes us girls drier than the Sahara. I do remember the man who's made the biggest splash as a male uh phenomenon was the first season of Game of Thrones with Jason Momoa. Do you remember when that came out and on like all the girls were going nuts for
My
Cal
wife
Drogo?
has a Jason Momoa action figure from that.
Yeah, and you remember what
Like I've got Ned Stark because he's fucking badass and he's got the sword and he's standing there and he's looking all regal and shit. She's got shirtless Jason Momoa with body tattoos and face and like charcoal eyes.
That's right. And the Cal Drogo character purchases Daenerys, buys her to be his wife. He literally buys her. Proceeds to, how do I put, unconsensually have relations with her on
She was
several
purchased
occasions.
for the sole purpose of making a baby for him. Like that was
Yeah.
her only purpose.
Yep. And and basically it's he unconsensually has relations with her to the point where she falls in love with him.
I mean, I don't know about the book per se because I've never read it, but I get the gist of it. It still sounds like he was a better choice than that guy from 50 Shades of Grey.
Well, the 50 Shades of Grey thing is just like another, it's, I don't know if we've talked about it before. It's the self-insert female writer trying to become, I'm going to take a mousy, not very just average plain looking girl who becomes the object of obsession by billionaires, vampires, or werewolves.
Did she take off her glasses and let her hair down at some point?
Exactly. uh,
Whoa, turns out the ugly girl's hot.
See, look at that. I used the two things to get the message done right. Well, that's another way of saying it. Yeah, so we'll do it that. That's deflowered is a good descriptive word. Yes, he deflowered her. So
Well, he paid extra for that.
he did have to pay extra. That was the Dothraki army that being promised to the Targaryens.
Yeah.
Yeah, so look at this, the writer's quote. This was not an attempt at wokeness on our part. Swear to God, it wasn't. We liked that Holga is the bruiser that does the dirty work for Edgin. I'm guessing Holga
Probably the barbarian.
is the girl from uh, Fast and Furious. What was her
Yeah.
name?
I mean,
Anyway,
she's in everything. She was in Fast and Furious. Wasn't she in Resident Evil as well? Like, she's in a lot of crap.
yeah, she was in all that. And he doesn't like to get his hands dirty. We also love emasculating leading men.
Yeah, of course you do. Who'd have thought?
50 Shades of Grey is what happens when all this agenda push and goes, it gets to a point where it reacts like a rubber band. Yeah, hopefully, right? You're gonna see that. I mean, I do think
Hopefully,
that,
like Conan the Barbarian will make a triumphant return soon.
dude, they had the guy who ran House of the Dragon for HBO Max was supposed to do a Conan the Barbarian show for Amazon, and they fired him because it was too masculine.
Oh no! Why
Conan
would
the
anyone want to
Barbarian.
watch something masculine?
Exactly. So, I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, It is.
And look, here we go. The D&D movies male heroes aren't always heroic. After reiterating that the reason, look, do you feel like this is a talking point now?
After reiterating that the reasons did not pertain to woke thinking, they certainly are denying the wokeness of it repeatedly. You don't usually get that defensive unless your enemies are over target.
Now, here's where I don't like. All right, so the pair explained that they wrote the men that way because they find it funny and fresh, pointing to Rachel McAdams and Jason Bateman's character in Date Night, which they also wrote. They also aim to do something similar with Tom Holland's Peter Parker and Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark in Spider-Man Homecoming. We like our male heroes to be challenged and not simply heroic. Okay, that's totally different things. You do, yes, you are correct that a person should be challenged when you're writing a story. Like Peter Parker, especially,
Challenged and
should be challenged.
emasculated are not even close
Yeah.
to the same fucking thing. This is just pissing me off now. I'm happy I'm right, but I'm kind of sad that I'm right too. I was really hoping this movie would surprise me. Yeah, she is, right? If we're talking about the barbarian girl in this.
Yes, she is. It's what is her name? Is it?
I don't know. Look up that girl from. What was the movie?
It is Michelle Rodriguez. That's who it is playing it. Michelle Rodriguez. There you go. There you go, Slender. I want you to.
Hero lead is gonna be masculine as fuck. My hero lead is masculine as fuck.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you should have a masculine male lead, right? What is do you remember it was a joke line in Austin Powers because it was what they used to say about like spy movies. It was all the men wanted to be him and all the women wanted to be with him.
Yeah.
That's what you if you're writing a male hero, that is what you should keep in mind. That's what you want. You want all the men to want to be him, and you want all the women to want to be with him. And that's how you sell tickets.
Well, yeah, because the men, like you said, wanting to be him, he becomes an aspirational figure. Wanting to be with him, well, I mean, he's a thirst trap. That's cool. It's harder to do that with a badass woman. Like,
I'm not going to say that like exactly, but Top Gun Maverick, which was a very successful movie that just came out, the way they made the Maverick character, which was very true to how he was in the first movie, is exactly that phrase summed up. If you're a man, you wanted to be him. You want to be a badass pilot flying missions, being the best in the world, right? That appeals to the male psyche. He also gets the hot girls. Like Jennifer Connelly, for her age, is smoking hot. Do you not agree with that statement?
I do not disagree.
Yeah. So that's the hero lead, and that movie in America made tons of money. So, and it made money worldwide too. 1.4 billion worldwide, like 618 million just in the US. So really solid. I don't know how to explain the blue people making so much money, but Top Gun made money. Blue people made more. I don't get that part.
I will never understand how the blue people make so much money because the story is such shit.
Yeah. So, and all right. So getting back to this, like the Date Night movie, which I watched and actually enjoyed with Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams, they still had they had a functional, happy marriage, which is another thing that you don't always see on screen.
Yeah.
I mean, what's weird is these people's writing credits are movies I actually enjoyed. I liked Homecoming. I liked Date Night. Why in the hell are like all they're doing is talking me out of liking the movies now? Like these quotes.
And here's the thing, though, like They wrote the men that way because they find it funny and fresh, pointing to McAdams and Jason Bateman characters date night. Like, well, it's not fresh anymore because you already did it, apparently, in 2 other things you wrote. Like the freshness, like we have gone beyond the freshness date. And 2, this is not date night. This is a fucking Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Star Storyteller that says, I want to look like Conley when I'm older. That is a good. She's aged super well. She's aged great.
Did you cut out there for a minute? That was weird.
Yeah, the mic got locked up for a second. So it was weird. Anyway, but yeah, Jennifer Connelly, like, you go back and look at her from like 1990 and look at her now, she's maintained well. I don't know that she's never had work done, because God knows you can never say that about a person nowadays. But if she has, it's been tasteful and it's been well done. It's definitely not Madonna.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know who has had work done? Madonna.
Yeah, she is looking.
And she needs to go back and get them to give her a refund because.
Like, let's see, how old is Jennifer Connelly? Is 52 years old and looks great for that age. So good for her. So I think that is a solid aspirational goal to look like Jennifer Connelly. Oh, we've all right. So like I said, they're talking me out of movies I liked. Oh, here you go, about Madonna. About as fresh as a corpse in the hot sun. That is.
Well, I don't know if that was about Madonna or if that was about my reference to it not being that fresh anymore, considering they've done it in 2 movies already.
That's a good question, because I think that quote in that word, all right, here's a.
It applies to either.
Which would it apply to more? Probably your quote, but I'm going to say that it's C, all of the above. All of the above. So, like, this interview is, why would you do PR like this? You know what? If I was the studio, I would put the writers on lockdown and say, you're not talking to anybody. You guys are just going to piss people off. Like, we invested it doesn't look like it, but they probably invested over $100 million into making that movie, and they're pissing it all away by, like, we are the target audience, Slender. Me and you are the people who would be going to see a Dungeons and Dragons movie, right? We're the ones that have played Dungeons and Dragons, have a relationship with the product, would get other people to go with us to see the movie. And this media campaign is making us even less possibly excited about going to see it.
I mean, to give you some perspective, me and the people that I play with, we have all of our books on the same bookshelves. And we have every book from 3.5, every book from 4th edition, every book from 5th edition, and several books from 3.0. And then I have my own personal books from AD&D, and I have the 25th anniversary collector's edition leather-bound Dungeon Master's Guide, Monster Manual, and Player's Handbook. So, with the foreword written by Vin Diesel, no less.
Vin Diesel? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, he's a nerd too. He plays D&D.
I appreciate that he plays it. I do not want him anywhere near making a Dungeons and Dragons movie.
I mean, did you watch Pitch Black, Chronicles of Riddick? Any of those?
Yeah, I thought Pitch Black was good, and I
Riddick
thought
is a ranger.
Yes, but the second movie, where Vin Diesel got to have a lot more input about making this grandiose space opera, was a overweighted, bloated something. The idea of bringing back the little girl,
it could have been good. I think it was paced way too fast for one movie.
That was like 4 movies worth of content.
And that's what I said. I was like, this could have been awesome, but they tried to cram it all down into one movie, and it went way too fast. Like, I didn't get enough time to get invested in any of the shit that was happening.
And that's they like speed ran a Lord of the Rings level amount of lore in one movie,
Hmm.
and it
I think
just
they could have done it in two.
they probably yeah it maybe
It would have had to be. They would have had to be real efficient with their cuts, but I think they could have done it in two. I just think one was too much.
yeah it was way too much, and I think that's why Pitch Black in the third movie, whatever, what was the third movie called? It was just like, was it just called Riddick?
It was just called Riddick.
Yeah, that one worked really well too because they went back to the basics of just him, hunting
And it
down
was part
stuff.
of the story. He needed to go back to the basics.
And
I actually really liked the third one because I think the third one um, is kind of the mirror opposite of the first one. Um, because in the first one, basically he, you know, you see him as the Beast, right? And he kind of regains his humanity toward the end. But in the third one, um, he's too human and he's lost that beast bestial nature and he has to bring the beast back, but he never goes full beast. He finds that perfect balance, which he never quite had before.
all right, so Star Storyteller, Vin Diesel is unskilled, yeah, but I trust him over these writers, that's for sure. If I had to make a choice, yes, I would trust Vin Diesel to probably do this over that. And then if you want to broad, that wants to.
Wants to rant about emasculation and how it's killing everything, let me know and I'll be on.
Maybe we'll plan that for next week because
Yeah, we could
that
do a
is
feature episode on the emasculation of men in
escalation.
modern media. We could probably do a whole series on that shit.
That would be a very, I mean, it would fit the brand, that's for sure. the, but yeah, it is. Riddick, I think, was one of, like, I was very disappointed in the second movie, not because it was a, nothing in it is bad on its own. Like the special effects aren't terrible. They're average, but the design of the evil space alien guys, whatever they were called, it was interesting. It was very Geiger esque, from kind of Aliens. And there's a lot of stuff that could have worked really well. It's just such a missed opportunity because they slammed so much into it. And that's what Hollywood had been doing for a little while, where they were so interested in trying to make mega franchises and launch them that they were cramming all this stuff into like single movies. Like I think of we just talked about Maverick with Tom Cruise, and he was in one that was a really spectacular failure, which was the Mummy relaunch that he did, where they were so busy trying to launch an entire shared universe of horror characters and cram it all into one movie, it just overloaded it and screwed up what could have worked.
Yeah, that movie never happened, and I will deny its existence forever because, I mean, it's Brendan Fraser all day. Like he was the guy. Like that is his series.
Yeah, that was a fun like Indiana Jones light that they came out with in the late '90s,
Yeah,
and
Tom
it's
Cruise can't have that one. Okay, Tom Cruise. I mean, he's a great actor, wonderful guy, and everything, but he's got enough. Like, stay the fuck away from the Mummy.
okay. So Star Storyteller clearly is obsessed a little with Vin Diesel in a good way for her. Basically, the song I need is your hero on loop right now. But the next one, and Riddick, oh my goodness, bald never looks so good. Yeah, Vin Diesel looks probably more fit in that. I think some of the Fast and Furious movies were more entertaining to me, but he he was very menacing and had a good look from a masculinity standpoint for
I mean,
Pitch
I
Black.
really liked Pitch Black and Riddick. I just didn't think the Chronicles of Riddick was all that good. And like, yeah, it's right in the name of your movie. It's called The Chronicles of Riddick. Why is it one movie?
That's true. It should be like multiple movies.
Yeah, it should be like The Chronicles of Riddick, Chapter 1, The Chronicles of Riddick, Chapter 2. Like, come on.
Exactly. This should, like, I get the feeling that they were trying to make more. First rule is always make sure your movie will stand alone and be good on its own because you never have a guaranteed sequel. So you can lay the ground. Like a good example of that was Iron Man, and this is why Marvel used to do those end stingers for sequels, but not the movies themselves. Remember when Marvel started, the whole movie was a self-contained movie that you could enjoy, and then in the credits you would get the stinger that would set up another spin-off or a sequel.
Yeah.
So you didn't feel like the movie was just set up for stuff.
Well, the story might span a couple movies, but each movie could be a self-contained adventure.
And that's why I think Pitch Black and Riddick worked much better
Mm-hmm.
because they were complete stories that worked well, and then you had the prospect of more at the end, and that was fine. Chronicles of Riddick, a little too much story. That's really, it was just too much. They should have settled, like, it should have just been the prison break as an entire movie,
Yes,
or and that would have been perfectly fine, and then set up the next thing.
I
Let's
agree.
see. It goes back from when I was younger and in sync. I like the boy who had the beard. That was you. Oh, so you were the one person who didn't like Justin Timberlake in NSYNC. You know what the favorite part about NSYNC was, Slender? That
What?
for the fat one, they actually got a guy whose name was Fat One. Joey
Oh,
Fatone.
Fatone.
Yeah, is actually Fat One.
Wow.
It was probably the studios because they were not wanting to put money out because they were being stupid. I think Vin Diesel got a lot of creative control with him and the guy who did Riddick when they did that second movie because the studio, Vin Diesel was supposed to be really a big deal at that point. Oh, we got a guest coming in.
Did someone say in sync?
Yes. So, Mads, did you appreciate that NSYNC was the one that really leaned in? It was like, if we're going to have a fat guy in the band, we're going to get a
Oh,
guy,
Joey Fatone?
fat one.
Yeah, and we're all gonna ignore Lance being gay as fuck.
Until he actually comes out, and then we'll be like, we support you, Lance.
Oh, hey, we'll even do a rom com starring you, Lance, the non-gay one.
and
And Joey
Fatone.
was
And you know who wasn't in it? Justin Timberlake. He was like,
oh,
no,
Mr. JT
he's
and the
too
Tennessee
big.
Kids.
He's like, I'm big time. My movie roles are going to be restricted to ones where The Rock says
Watch it.
he couldn't have killed himself because pimps don't kill themselves.
That is a statement of fact.
Slender, you still haven't seen that one yet, have we? We've been just talking about it for months now, and you haven't watched it.
Which
That
one?
needs to be a movies with Mad.
I mean, we could probably do it tonight.
Which one? What haven't I seen?
This is one of the.
What's it called?
Did you ever see Donnie Darko?
Yeah, I saw Donnie Darko.
It's the same guy who did Donnie Darko, and he made.
It was a weird fucking movie.
It was
what is
like
it called?
I'm going because it was like L.A. something or California. It was
Southland
like
Tales.
Southland Tales. It is the weirdest, craziest.
Greatest.
The end. I'm not going to spoil anything, but this is like one of the most like what the f did I just see movies you're gonna ever see.
You want to know another weird one though? In the vein of kind of the Donnie Darko style was A Scanner Darkly.
Well, that was with because that was cell shaded with
Yeah, it was weird.
where they actually filmed it with with Keanu and all the actors live.
Yep.
And then they just actually animated over it.
They did cell shading over it, and it was just a weird fucking movie.
No, but I got a Southland Tales because let me find it.
I was looking for it. I'm like, ooh, full movie. Oh no, this is something entirely different. This is a bunch of gangsters in Southland.
Let's see. Yeah, Southland.
But I am going to add this to a playlist because this looks possible.
So here's the cast that you got. This is how epic the movie was. You got Justin Timberlake.
Hell yeah.
You got The Rock. You got this was what Stifler is playing multiple parts.
And Buffy?
Buffy, and you also have what's her name? Why am I not Britney Spears and not not ex-Tina, but she was a pop singer in the late 90s. She became an
Christina
actor.
Aguilera?
No. Why am I blanking on her name? Why am I? She was missing people like Candy. What was her name?
I don't
Huh?
know.
Mandy Moore?
Yes, man. You didn't look that up at all, did you, man?
No,
You
I
should
didn't.
be
I was
ashamed that you know that.
I was halfway listening. I was typing in our group chat, and I was just like, "Oh, Candy, yeah, that's when she's driving the lime green bug
Yes.
in the video."
Yeah.
She was also in Scrubs, because remember I dated the chick that
Oh.
also couldn't laugh. We saw it
Oh,
together.
yeah.
I'm like, "That is you." We
That-
didn't last.
Yes. Scrubs was good. I enjoyed
I like Scrubs.
Oh yeah,
Scrubs
yeah.
was a
Don't go back and
quality-
watch it though, because I forgot how fucking sad every episode is.
What was do you remember the episode where they actually got the guy from Men at Work, the singer, and he's just coming in and just playing the songs like as he's walking around?
I mean,
yeah.
now that I think about it, like, I'm like, well, wait, there was the episode that was a musical, and I'm like, yeah, but it was a musical because he was brain damaged and
Yes.
dying.
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, they all end sad.
Yeah. Yeah. They're all very, very depressing, which is why they have to have humor in it.
But I loved Dr. Cox in that movie, or
Oh,
in that show. He was
Yeah, he was
hilarious.
great. He would
So-
do the nose thing where he would touch his nose every time he spoke, and that was like something he came up with on the spot.
You guys are just you're pissing me off so much that I have to come up with new words to describe my anger. I mega loathe all of you.
My favorite episode with him might have been where he let everyone think that the head of surgery or whoever it was had died. And so when he came back, he saw that nobody missed him. Nobody cared. It's like, did you learn your lesson now? That you're sad, angry old man that no one will miss when you die. It was like, it was funny in the show, but then when you think about it, it's like, man, that is sad. What he was doing. Oh.
Yeah, it's all very depressing.
All right, I'm pulling up the quotes from Southland Tales. I'm a pimp, and pimps don't commit suicide.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Was that? That's right.
Is this
if you,
the cast from Southland Tale that we're looking at right now?
yes, this is them from Southland Tales. That's why Justin Timberlake looks like the.
I mean, this
post-war
doesn't look like movies with Mad material.
Oh, it is.
Oh,
It
Really?
is.
Like, this looks like a good cast.
Oh, it's a great cast.
Oh, Mandy Moore, she's annoying, and I didn't like that she did the whole "look how hypocritical Christians are," and now look where we are. Yeah. What was that movie she did where? Yeah, she was
Saved.
saved.
I know my Mandy Moore trivia. You can't.
with Jenna, was Jenna Malone, right? Was the other lead in it?
Oh, are you a Mandy Mooreologist?
He watches Tangled and sings the songs.
I like
to himself.
Tangled. That's one of their best ones with Ryder. He was the dude.
Tangled was their last good animated movie.
Tangled was their attempt at bringing in guys, like boys with the action.
Yeah.
And then they're like, wait a minute, why don't we just buy Marvel and Star Wars? And they're like, great idea. That way we can capitalize on the boy market. And then Kathleen Kennedy was like, I have a better idea. The Force is female.
Let's make it for girls.
Yeah.
Just like everything else Disney makes.
That's true. That's not something I said at all.
But yeah, I mean,
I'm kidding. We all agree because it's true.
I agree. I agree with Matt. I love Tangled. Tangled is probably one of my favorite Disney movies.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
It was the last good one. Like after that, what did we get? We got Frozen, and Frozen was
Sucks.
kind of garbage.
Yeah. They
And then
stole it
Frozen
from
2
what's her
was
name?
like hot garbage.
Didn't even see it. Megamind is probably the last one I saw. I think that was
Megamind is phenomenal.
Megamind
Yeah,
is great.
it's great.
Metrocity. You're
Yes.
the only person who says Metrocity instead of Metro City.
My favorite is the sign. Instead of Obama, yes we can. It's no you can't.
No, you can't.
It's so subtle and so brilliant.
I like that once he took over, the actual like the functioning of the city got like 100 times better. Like the trains were on time, everything was clean, and it was just like, what did you expect me to do?
The Shredda had never seen it. I'm like, oh, you should really watch Megamind. She's like, gross. No, never gonna like it. And then 5 minutes into it, she's like, this is the greatest thing ever. You're a genius. This is why I'm with you, because you make me so much better. She's staring at me.
I think you need to reverse that statement so that she. This is why. This is. And then she said, "Oh, Mads, you're so amazing. You're the greatest person. You pick the best movies of all. Always.
I do pick the best movies always. Yeah. Man, she tried to get me to watch Grease the other night.
Which Grease? Grease 1 or Grease 2?
Grease 1. Yeah.
Grease 2 is better.
You
What?
can kind of sell Megamind to any woman by just being like, Brad Pitt's in it.
For
like that pretty
like
much sells it.
Chad
Right?
just said that Grease 2 is better. Ooh. Jesus Christ.
Holy shit.
Did y'all
I
hear
heard that?
Wow.
I don't think I've ever even made her that angry.
I'm sorry that I think Grease 2's got funnier. Like, Do It For Your Country is a hilarious song.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Is she getting on her computer to come join the
No.
Yeah.
She's playing some game to get money for her Sims mobile thing. I don't know. Whatever.
Well, then I guess she isn't here to defend Grease.
Tangled is the redemption arc from Andy Moore. There you go. Look, I'm sorry. I have a bad opinion. I understand it's a bad opinion. Grease 2, I find a better movie with a more interesting situation because, the songs are funnier. Reproduction,
here's the thing, right?
Do It For Your Country, better, more funny songs.
I don't know that I've ever seen Grease 2.
I've never seen Grease 2.
Probably have. But I have seen Grease. And I'm not going to say one is good or bad. I'm going to say Grease is for women.
Yep.
And as such, I have no opinion on it.
Yes.
You do know that. So Grease 2, the female lead is Michelle Pfeiffer.
And?
That's superior.
That's not winning me over, Chad.
Superior to Sandy. You don't like Michelle Pfeiffer better than
I don't. I mean, I'm indifferent to these movies. I don't care.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm indifferent to.
I was using it as bait to get her to come out here to watch something with me because I was bored.
And then
I was gonna switch it, but she then did sad face and was like, "Oh, but I love Grease, blah 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 blah." So had to watch a little bit of it.
And then you immediately switch to
oh, what did we switch to, babe?
Sometimes I picture the place that you live. I don't know what it looks like, obviously, because I've never been there. But are you Wile E. Coyote and she's the road runner just cruising around the place?
She just said, "I'm not British," because I guess I was doing a British accent. Whenever, whatever. What Roadrunner? She knows because she's in my area and she's not in her.
It's bait
her space.
so that I can get her to come watch this movie.
Yeah. Oh, that.
So Slender, it's probably
are you
more
paint,
like
a door on the wall and be like, "What there?"
No, Slender, the more accurate one. You remember Pepe Le Pew, where he's just constantly trying to get the girl.
Oh yeah, he was a Chad, man. He wouldn't take no for an answer.
Yeah.
You know the Dave Chappelle.
Well, here's the thing, though. I know a lot of people say that she never gave consent, but she also never said no.
True. And like Dave Chappelle said in one of his stand-ups, sometimes you guys gotta take the pussy.
It was this is fun. This is why it's always fun when Mads jumps in. He is the YouTuber's YouTuber.
This is
and And I do want to address that it was 100% Slender last week. If you go watch our episode, we're at the beginning of thanking you again for the intro. And he's like, why are you doing this ever? It's like,
Yeah, man.
how are we going to do this? It's like, because we should. He made it for us.
Yeah, I thought
And
it came out good.
Yeah, and Slender basically told me today that he was trying to get me to neg you into making more stuff for us.
Oh, I heard. No, I think aesthetically it fits very well with your overall vibe.
I think it works very well too.
It is. It's cool.
And also, you can have the YouTuber back at this point. I'm the king of Mayorstown now. So.
Oh, dude, are you liking season 2?
I've only I stopped watching it since we're doing 2 episodes at a time.
Okay.
So I only got to the part. Spoiler alert for anyone who might go watch it, but I only got to the part where he was with that new partner.
Yeah,
and the drunk guy who was towing the bus, or not the bus, but the boat, shot him. And then he shot the guy and the lady, and there was the kid in the car. So
yeah,
I don't know. That's as far as I've got so far. Yeah, I mean, strong.
I'm waiting on it to blow up, but it's a little bit more of a slow burn.
Real quick, are they going to
season?
be able to figure out a way to write in Jeremy Renner not being able to walk?
He's already working out, bro.
Oh, he's already working out?
Yeah.
I mean, he's like an American badass. I don't know
He's
if you knew
Hawkeye.
that. Yeah. Hawkeye didn't have no fucking superpowers
No.
to get him through.
No, he was the most interesting guy in the Avengers movies.
Yeah.
I liked it. Was it one of the most
Age of
redeeming
Ultron.
part of Age of Ultron was his speech, like, I'm just a guy who shoots arrows and
Oh, it's
things.
so
What am I
good.
doing? And then when Pietro gets gatted and he's like, I didn't see that coming. It's like,
Oh, I loved it when he ran past and grabbed Scarlet Witch, and he's like, "No one would know. I could do
thanks
it
for
right."
hanging out, Star Storyteller.
Yep. See ya. And then he's like, "Oh yeah, no. Last time I saw him, Ultron was sitting on him. I'm gonna miss the guy." Yes, you over there.
I would say,
okay.
Was it Infinity War where him and Scarlet Witch were trying to fight for who would end up sacrificing
That
themselves?
was Endgame when they were going to get the
that was
Soul
Endgame.
Gem.
That was an amazing scene. I liked that scene. That was probably
I actually liked
Hawkeye.
his whole arc where his family got dusted. Like,
Oh,
it
yeah,
makes sense. Like, he just went off the. I mean, if you take a guy who has that kind of level of special forces and intelligence training and make him a bitter, not caring about anything person, he's could do some damage to do some shit.
Yeah.
So that was a realistic, like, mental break kind of arc. Like, why would criminals get to exist in the world when my family got dusted? I'm
And
gonna kill you all.
it justified his desire to be the one that sacrificed himself because he didn't want to have to go back and face his family after everything that he had done.
Yeah, it was actually, isn't it crazy to write a character that well?
Yeah.
Shocking.
And what's even crazy though, I only watched maybe 2 episodes of the Hawkeye show where they're like, let's bring in a girl Hawkeye.
That's 2 more than I watched.
Yeah. But there was this moment where he's watching the play of the Avengers or whatever, and he starts to kind of react to it, but in a PTSD kind of way, and he does an amazing job portraying that. And then they're like, "Look at the girl, she's cool. Look at her beat up people." I'm like, "Oh well, there goes that shit." There was so much there that they could have played with his PTSD and actually delve into not just the into the consequences of this giant end game that you've been building for 10 years, rather than moving on. His girl power time.
Dude, as soon as they went into phase 4, they lost all ability to, maintain drama.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, everything's got to be a fucking joke. Even the most dramatic scenes, are followed up with a joke at least 30 seconds after.
I think that is the Whedonness that they want. They want it to be quippy, like what Whedon did because it was successful, but they're bringing in shit writers who can barely write or have a structured story.
One thing that we
tell them
did,
to be
Whedon.
Yeah,
this worked because he built an entire world around it.
It wasn't just that. Whedon also put a lot of dark into his storytelling. And people didn't like it. Like, Avengers in Age of Ultron, remember how much shit he got because he put that whole storyline in where Black Widow was very upset that she had been like sterilized as part
Right.
of the Black Widow program, and people were like, why are you making a woman unhappy about that? It's like, because it would be fucking terrible to have without choice had your ability to have children stripped away from you. And
Well, then
so
it just became a running joke in Black Widow.
yeah,
Exactly.
which is where you see the difference. Like Whedon wouldn't I'm for as bad as Whedon was about a lot of things, whatever, I don't think Whedon would have ever actually started making jokes about that shit.
The Russos didn't either, by the way.
Yeah, because the
I think
Russos got it.
I think Whedon's actually pretty good. I'm just saying, like, with say his Buffy the Vampire Slayer, right? Like that whole quippiness and jokiness and everything, like that was baked into the cake. But
Yeah.
with the Marvel stuff, like you've already baked the cake, and now you were trying to inject the quippiness in.
Well, part of it is because of the first Iron Man, right? Robert Downey Jr. is just good at that. He has the charisma; he can pull that off, and it's also the
You don't need that qualifier. Robert Downey Jr. is just good.
Yeah. So when he was playing Tony Stark that way, and that was so successful, I feel like that was a bad template. That sometime that they what I'm saying is they thought that it was because that it was jokey, when not realizing it's because Robert Downey Jr. has charisma and can pull it off.
That is not a template that they can apply to a new actor.
What just happened? Did I not say that they wanted these new writers to Whedon it up to be quippy?
Yeah. Well,
because
Whedon
it was
wasn't
before. It
was Favreau who did.
Oh, okay, all right, I'll give you that. But
yeah, well, yeah, and then Whedon did it, and then they. But what I'm getting at is that
I
even
I forgot.
Favreau and Whedon both also put dark elements in. Like the first Iron Man movie has a lot of dark shit into, where he realizes he's personally responsible for the murders of thousands of innocent people. That's there's a lot of dark in that.
Where he was coming to.
I also I was gonna say to go along with my Grease 2 opinion. I actually really liked Iron Man 3. I thought it was a well done
because it focused a lot more on his emotional struggles than it did on his I'm gonna fight bad guys, which I actually kind of liked.
And it's also a Shane Black movie. I'm a huge Shane Black fan.
It's a Christmas movie. He's a
right
buddy cop with
But in Iron Man 3, like it takes a Robert Downey Jr. to pull that off.
Yeah.
Like if you don't have like a strong lead like that, but you're not going to keep an audience with a movie like Iron Man 3.
But Jeremy Renner could have done it after Endgame with a Hawkeye show, a true show that could delve into it. That I thought that would be the point of having these Marvel shows on Disney Plus, was that they could take their time and do unique storytelling, like a Hawkeye legitimate PTSD like deconstruction of where his mind is now after everything that has happened, and then have this, overarching story of thugs in jumpsuits or whatever. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, you made a huge mistake. The obvious point of all these shows was to line up every Avengers dick on the table, chop it off, and hand it to a young woman who can do it better.
True. That is true, yes.
So with all this conversation, it's a good spot to point out that I feel like Disney's gonna get the wrong message, because Black Panther Wakanda Forever debuted #1 when it hit the streaming service.
Yeah, but it was the only.
Yeah, but have you looked at the drop in ticket sales from weekend 1 to weekend 2 on most of the new stuff that's coming out?
Yep.
Like Cocaine Bear is devouring Ant-Man right now.
That was a good use of Cocaine Bear devouring. I'm just
I'm a writer.
Just giving you credit in there, because it paints a visual, man. It paints a visual. But I told you, I saw Cocaine Bear. It was exactly what it was supposed to be, and
here's the thing. Like, I know, yes, Ant-Man probably grossed a lot more in ticket sales than Cocaine Bear, but let's talk about profits versus budget percentage. Like, Cocaine Bear's probably doing better.
Oh, absolutely. That's like whenever Lionsgate or Blumhouse or Brumhouse, whatever it's called, when they come out with one of these cheap $5 million movie, and it hits fucking payday. You know, that's their whole strategy.
Megan, anyone? Megan
Yeah,
has
yeah.
grossed $94 million. That movie probably costs like 10 to 15 million to make.
Maybe. Yeah.
And by the way, I just watched. They put the unrated edition
I haven't
up
seen
on
it. I saw it was
Peacock,
up, though.
and it was super good. I was like,
Was
because
it?
I hadn't seen Megan yet. I actually really enjoyed it. I watched it with
I
my wife, and she usually doesn't like horror movies, but she liked this one.
See, that's me.
She's-
I'm the one that usually doesn't like horror movies, but we watched Megan, and yeah, and we watched the regular version, not even the unrated one, and still dug it.
I think I haven't watched the regular version. There's a couple parts where I think it just lingers more on the kills.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Specifically, I would say one kill of with an older woman that probably got a little more of the unrated treatment. So,
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
yeah,
in
but
the
it was
garage.
good. It was good. I thought it was like the funny moments hit pretty good.
Mhm.
Like
And
but
it's creepy as shit.
and it is creepy and it makes sense. Like
Yeah,
it. So Megan, I thought was really well done. I liked Violent Night when it came out in
yeah.
December. That was a funny movie. It did exactly what I wanted it to do, which was you don't need every action movie to be friggin' Hamlet or it was just good entertainment. It wasn't
Dude,
like
I watched Violent Night with the girls, and they loved it. We ended up watching it twice.
Nice. But what one thing I wanted to get back to with what Slender was saying, another thing to take in account, and this was very true for Disney's Star Wars trilogy, is the loss of potential profit. If you look at, yes, The Last Jedi still made $1 billion, but look at how much the revenue went down from Force Awakens to The Last Jedi. Yes, you still made
they
money.
lost $1 billion of dollars
Exactly.
of potential revenue. So
Yes.
that means you lost a good chunk of your audience.
Yes.
You lost almost 60%.
And it continued after that with the next one. And
It was funny to me because there were so many fans who, when they watched that first one, The Force Awakens, I believe it was, and they're like, "Oh, it's so good! Star Wars is back!" And I watched it, and I was like, "It was kind of crap, guys." Like, I'm a Star Wars fan too, but this movie wasn't that good. And then, well, everybody saw what they did in the second one to Luke Skywalker, and they finally started to understand.
what the hell are you doing, Dark Man?
What, huh?
Oh, she had so Summer had
She put a mask on that was going to melt in an hour.
No, you remember Dark Man with Liam Neeson where he
Did you not hear my reference? Put a mask on that melts in an hour. Remember he had a timer, and after 60 minutes the face would melt.
Well, I was talking about specifically where he just had the bandages on because I'm not going to say who, but somebody had treatment to their skin. Sorry, lasers. She's laser face now. It's called what? Yeah, broadband. I don't know. Women's shit. They shoot lasers at your face. Makes your skin pretty.
Oh,
Is that supposed to help with like your complexion?
I have no idea. But
look, the only other thing I know that they use lasers for is hair removal. So hopefully,
yeah, no, it's not that. It's something else. Although, wait, is it a 2-for-1? Does it also remove hair? Oh, that's a different laser.
Did you ask her what sound it made when they used it?
Oh, babe, hold up. Babe, real quick. What sound did it make, the laser? Okay. I don't know
Did she bang the first time? Did she go like bing, pew?
I don't know what she did. I got headphones on. Anyway, we were talking about good stuff, man stuff. What were we saying?
We were talking about how much money they lost between Force Awakens and Last Jedi because everyone's like, it still made 1.2 billion. It's like the last one made 2.2 billion. You lost $1 billion of potential.
Well, I brought that up because we were talking about how Ant-Man and the Wasp is getting shredded by Cocaine Bear.
Nice.
Thank you.
It is. And Creed's beating the shit out of it this week too.
I'm not looking forward to that.
Creed 3, the first Rocky-less Creed.
Yeah, directed by Michael B. Jordan.
Now it's opening, like they're making a big deal because it's opening to $45 million. I'm like, that's not a huge opening. I worked at the theater back in like 1999 and 2000, and we were getting movies opening to $50 million that were considered average. So if in
Yeah.
2023 you're making 45, it's not a big,
Well-
like ticket prices were half back than what they are now.
So my point was that this drop that you see with the Wasp and Ant-Man and the Quantumanias, it is more significant than what people are giving it credit for. Yeah, they made pretty good money that first opening weekend or whatever, but that drop off is very telling about where the audience is.
Yeah, and
you combine
Ant-Man
it
and
with like the Eternals and some of the other flops
Yep.
that have come in Phase 4, and now we're starting off Phase 5 with this, and it's like, yeah, your diminishing returns are going to just keep diminishing harder and harder and harder. And as far as I know, you just keep putting more money into these movies. That ain't the fucking problem.
Yeah. Oh man, watched The Mandalorian the other night, and I'm really impressed with their use of volume. I think that it shows how inefficient that Marvel has been using that technology. Because for all of his faults, Mandalorian is a good looking show. Am I alone in that?
yeah,
I don't have Disney Plus anymore, so
So when you say volume, are you talking about the audio mixing?
No. What? No. Oh my God, Chad. Ugh. So volume is their new technology that they use with all of these screens that are wrapped around the actors on the stage
that
or
whole,
whatever.
yeah, that shit
yeah.
where it's the like
Which
where
is-
they're actually projecting the digital background as they're
right.
acting.
Right. And it looks like shit in the Marvel movies that they've been using, but Mandalorian kills it with the way that they implement the technology.
okay.
Well, they were the first ones I think who brought it in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
and Favreau, I think, for all the Favreau's, if you look back, is actually really good with digital effects.
Absolutely.
I mean, Elf, you wouldn't think it, but Elf had a lot of effect work, and it was really well done. Zathura, which was a spin-off. It was by the same author of Jumanji.
Was it Thus Spoketh?
Oh, from like Big, yeah.
No, from Nietzsche.
Oh,
Thus
You
Spoketh,
know what I really liked
Zarazuka.
Favreau in?
Rudy.
Couples Retreat.
No. Oh, Couples Retreat. That's a good one. I also liked him
Couples
in Four
Retreat,
Christmases.
Yeah, and he was good in what was dang it. What did
I did kick ass in high school. You want to watch tape?
you want to check tape? The Couples Retreat is like his was he also in, what was the one with Vince Vaughn and Jennifer Aniston, The Breakup? Did he manage to
Probably.
I don't
get
know.
into
The
that one
breakup
too?
was depressing as fuck.
I thought it was funny, but
I
don't
watched it
remember
one
The Breakup.
time and I was like, this
Four
was not-
Christmases is better.
Four Christmases is pretty good. That's with Reese Witherspoon, right?
Yeah. And
Breakup
Vince
had
Vaughn.
funny moments. Like, why would I want to do the dishes? But like, all in
No,
all, breakup ended up sad. Like
The
it
part that got me with The Breakup that was funny was when she was going on her date, and he when she goes, like, she steps away to go use the restroom, and she comes back and they're playing Madden, like the date and him. And
yeah.
and she's like, "Are we going?" He's like, "Hold on, we're gonna finish this game." Like, it's like, yeah, that would happen.
Yeah, that's a Chad move right there.
Yeah.
Like legit, that's how I would get out of inspections when I was in the Army. Slender would tell you, because they'll go and inspect your barracks or whatever, right? And we had a 2-man room. Anyway, so whenever the platoon sergeant would come by, I just happened to have Madden on the screen, ready to pick teams, and he's like, shut the fucking door. All right, let's do this right now. Come on. And we would play instead of doing the inspection.
Look, if you're a male who was born after like 1977, you're gonna stop and play Madden.
Yeah, you're gonna
It's
stop and
just
play
like-
pretty much anything, really.
Yeah, that's true. Like,
Yeah, I
if
don't
you-
even like those games. And if it's the military. Like if I'm on a ship or something and somebody's playing that game in one of the spaces, I'll be like, "Ooh, can I get in on that?" You know,
Exactly.
like that's how I started playing Halo.
That's how I knew.
That was
when,
our urban urban combat training.
There's Halo taking the war. All right, this is where we learned to take the Warthog. I mean Humvee.
Well, we had like every division has assigned spaces that they have to take care of,
Mhm.
and obviously pilots are officers and they can't clean up after their fucking selves.
No, they barely can wipe themselves.
Yeah, so one of their briefing rooms was our responsibility, and briefing rooms have a big ass projector in them.
Oh, nice.
So when they weren't used in the briefing room, we would go in there and fucking hook up the Xbox and play some Halo on the projector.
Fucking brilliant.
That is the only problem with that is the slight lag. If you're when you're really competitive on the first person shooters, those like guys will bitch if they have any control delay. Like, man, there's like a half millisecond delay on.
I don't think that was a big problem back then though with the Xbox. I think that is a more because of the technology of the TVs.
Yeah.
Well, projectors have it. Like if you ever use a projector, they're because of
Fuck
it's just like a native projector problem, which sucks. Like they just can't translate because the delay of actually getting the image onto the projector screen.
Oh, it didn't matter to me. I was a pleb. I was rocket sniping most of the time.
Where you just
somebody's sending me research information on lasers, face lasers.
Lasers.
And all the is she trying to get you to get face lasered too?
No. I guess for me to explain it to everyone. No. So who the Jonas Brothers? Did you see them playing at the Cowboys Stadium, AT&T Stadium, on their giant screen? Oh my God! Could you imagine how amazing that would be?
The Jonas Brothers. The only ones that would have been better would have been Mbop if we're talking about Jonas Brothers.
No, just them playing on the screen. I don't care about who they are.
Screen, like we could play a game on it.
Oh,
yeah, they were playing Xbox on the freaking Cowboys screen.
Oh, that giant like 80-yard long jumbotron.
It's
that
so
when
distracting.
they first installed it, actually started blocking punts because it was
still does.
too low.
It still does. Yeah. In fact, last year, I think at least twice. I remember twice visiting punters hit the bottom of it. Yeah, it happens. Get good, punter.
Learn to do a line drive kick, some bitch. Like
it can be very distracting. I had I've been a few times, but I had great seats. And when I wasn't in a luxury box, I had to sit with the gross old poor people, but they were still good seats. And yeah, the screening is very distracting because you always catch yourself looking at it. You're like, wait a minute, I'm not watching it on TV. I'm here at the stadium. Let me just look down.
Yeah, that's with the football stadiums now, they all have those amazing jumbo screens on the newer ones, and I've been to a couple games and it's just like, you're right. It's like, wait a second, I paid to come here to watch it live, not watch it on a screen. But the screen's so big and clear now. They're all perfectly crystal clear HD screens. It's hard to even remember thinking back when I went to RFK when I was a kid to watch the Giants and Redskins, and they didn't even have they had the LCD scoreboards that were just yellow lights. It was like, that's as good as the effects got.
That was something that the girlfriend noticed when I was forced into watching the first 20 minutes of Grease, was how different it looks when you're, obviously she couldn't tell that it was in UHD. But she's like, wow, this 1080p.
Girls can't pick up on that.
No, they can't. They have all women can't see 1080p.
My mother, when we first got HD TV, and remember that was when it was going from standard definition shit to real HD, and we were putting on a football game, and I was like, do you see how amazing this picture is? And she's like, it doesn't look different to me. And I was like, you can actually read their fucking jerseys, Mom.
But I could always just guess.
She's like, I don't see the difference. And I was like, I don't see there's no point. There's no talking. I felt like that Austin Powers thing was like, I guess there's no pleasing you, because if you can't see how much better this is than what we used to have, there's just not even going to be talking about it.
I'm shocked that more games aren't. Maybe it's the way that we're watching it, but more games aren't in 4K. The Super Bowl was in 4K, but it seems as though Fox is the only one with a 4K option. Like I can't find a CBS that's playing the games in 4K, but that's AFC. I don't really give a shit except for once or twice a year, you know.
I think when I think Paramount, like the year before this one, the Super Bowl was on CBS, so it was on Paramount Plus. I think
Okay.
that one was 4K, but I don't know whether it was actually recorded in 4K or they just made the stream available in 4K.
Oh yeah, it was in 4K this year but Fox has. I was using Fubo. No, not Fubo. Sorry, Fubo is like a cable kind of a thing. I always forget to cancel it every year. I haven't canceled it yet. Need to before next season. But yeah, you're going through. It's like cable. You have all the channels, the cable channels, and one of them was Fox and blah 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 in 4K.
Yeah, so
nice.
it was you got to watch those creeping sign up and don't cancel subscriptions.
I have so many, bro. Sometimes I just need to quote unquote lose my credit card.
Slender, wasn't that your advice? Just cancel the credit card?
No, that was my advice.
Was that your? Yeah, that was somebody was telling me about.
Yeah, that was me.
That was a good plan. I was like, I'm gonna use that one
because it helps, bro.
That would be a perfect one because then I'll have to think about which ones I renew.
Yep. Yeah, they'll contact you. They'll contact you, let you know that shit isn't going through, and then you can decide whether or not you should continue with their service.
I forgot totally that I had the Hallmark Channel video service.
What?
Because my wife wanted, because we didn't have cable, and my wife wanted to watch the Hallmark movies, and it was like $4 to I was like, oh, fine, whatever. And because it's so low, I just didn't even notice it, because it's $4, right? And then all of a sudden Hallmark became available on Peacock, which I get free because I have Comcast, and I was like, wait a second. Am I still paying for this? And then I went back and looked and I was like, shit, all right, let me cancel that.
I don't notice any of them because I can't remember my online banking password. So I just kind of go by feel with my finances.
Yeah. It was I feel like things are okay.
I feel like I can afford this new monitor. Turns out I could.
I feel like I can afford the computer that hold on, it's like, did Shredder give me permission? Yes, she did. I can afford I feel like I can get it now.
Well, I was talking about specifically my personal funds. Yeah. It's more like a slush fund than anything else.
This is like, it's not the funds for the laser treatments to the face. Those are the real monies. That's the important stuff. You can't mess with that. Oh, this is crazy. Hey, Slender, look what's number 10 on the top 10 list.
Of course it is. Number 10 and number 9, holding strong. Grey's Anatomy and NCIS.
I swear to God, Mads, we've looked at this list for months now, and NCIS is on there every friggin' time. And it was like we're convinced it's just because the old people just put it on in the background.
Yeah, exactly.
They just want something they're comfortable hearing as they do work or do something.
It's like the same way that CNN has stayed afloat by being in the airports all across the country.
In military bases too.
Is in the old folks' homes all across the country.
Oh, hey, speaking of something else, so you remember talking about movies eating Ant-Man's lunch? So this weekend, Ant-Man's going to make $13 million.
Wow.
Cocaine Bear's going to make 10.8. Do you know what is just under Cocaine Bear and still almost on par with Ant-Man, Slender? Demon Slayer Into the Swordsmith Village just being released in 1,700 theaters for Friday and Saturday only.
Dude, when anime started beating comics with the mangas, that was one thing. It's going to be a real bad look if anime starts beating Hollywood.
And then we've got Jesus Revolution rounding out the top 5, making another $6.5 million with Kelsey Grammer playing a hip new. He's a hip new wave preacher for hippies in the 60s.
Oh,
I guess
okay.
it's based on a true story. It's a guy who was one of the first, I guess. Like, hey, let's let everybody in and have an open church experience.
Cool. That went well.
That didn't lead to any bad things.
No, I think that we need to kick more people out of the church.
Jesus isn't here for you.
Yeah, Jesus is my homie.
Jesus is sometimes gonna stay and watch the game instead of going and helping his friend who got into an accident, like we saw in that movie.
Oh shit!
Why
No,
did
no.
we never air that one?
Oh man, because it's on the old computer now. It's gone.
You can plug it in. You can
It's
just
gone.
pull up the file.
It's gone.
What is it? The South Park thing, and it's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, you could pull the hard drive from that one and plug it into your new one. I'm sure you have enough space in that computer. And then that whole drive is on your new computer.
It's a laptop.
Oh, well, then you're fucked.
Then you
Yeah.
no, you just take it out and buy like a $10 enclosure and just make it a portable hard drive.
He's not wrong, but
It's gone.
Yeah.
I figure Mad's never going to open up that laptop and do that.
No.
Well, this has been fun. I think we're kind of getting to our closeout. Is there any other stuff you wanted to cover, Slender?
I just want to say it'd be really nice if someone made us an outro so that we could close this thing out with some
Oh,
style
boy.
and skill.
I thought you were going to be more neggy about it, and like isn't that you use your pickup
Yeah,
artist?
if I have
moves?
time, maybe next week when I get my.
Listen,
My
I'm not
coolness.
asking anybody to do it. I am just opining on the fact that it
Oh,
would be
okay.
really nice if someone did.
Don't. You're the same guy who told me to stop thanking him for making the intro. is now coming and be like, go make more stuff for us. Damn it! It's rude, people. Don't do that in real life.
Unless you're
Alright.
trying to get laid, then it's okay.
Apparently, it works. That's I remember that was also featured in Kingsman when they were trying to pick up the girl as part of their assignments. Like, are you negging her?
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's a good movie. Everybody should watch that one. Appreciate it.
Yeah, the first one's good. Yeah, the second one is.
I said Kingsman, not the, although I actually did like the King's Man. I thought that one was pretty good too.
I couldn't get through it.
You didn't like that one?
Never got back to it. No,
No, it's pretty good.
too womany.
It's a little depressing. No, Ray Fiennes is the real lead in it.
Sure.
Well, you got to have, I like Gemma Arterton. She's quality.
I don't know who that is.
She was
Sounds
the
like a
female.
woman.
She was the maid slash agent in the King's Man. She was in Wrath of the Titan. What was the first one? Wrath of
You
Titans
can tell
was
me
a
it's not
sequel.
going to help.
Did you see Quantum of Solace, the James Bond movie?
Nope.
Nope. All right, never mind. Then we're out of luck for Gemma Arterton. But and on that note, people can go look her up, and you'll see why I think she's a good choice for a lot of movies.
And as we always say here at Ascendant Art, if you can't be savory, be delicious.
Slender, is that what we say?
Yeah, we say that all the time.
All right. Well, in that case, we're gonna end things right now.